I'm Luke from No Shortage, and we tell the stories of organizations and individuals that are furthering the kingdom of heaven. And today I am with Carmin Long from Truly Motivated Transitional Living. Thank you for doing this for the test run with us.
Absolutely, happy to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So could you tell me a little bit about what Truly Motivated is?
Yes. So we are, our mission is to offer a transformative and healing community for those who are seeking freedom from active addiction. And I just butchered the heck out of our mission statement.
I think it sounded pretty good personally. I don't know. Yeah, it sounded good.
Okay.
Sounded good from here. But do you want to try again? Just do another take of it, or do
Sure.
we want to just? Do we just want to do like a?
Let's just roll.
Let's just keep rolling. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, so you guys help people who are seeking freedom from addiction.
Mm-hmm.
How did this organization come to start?
Mm-hmm. Well, it starts with my story first, and I will be celebrating 25 years of sobriety and recovery about a week from now. Actually, a week from today.
No way. Congratulations.
And so I was lost in my addiction for many, many years. And when I say lost, I mean like my family wouldn't even hear from me for years.
Oh, wow.
Usually if I was incarcerated, I'd probably give a phone call and want someone to come and talk to me. But other than that, I would usually get out of jail and I would go right back to what I was doing. So July 7th of 2000, I got out of jail again and had already used within a couple of hours of releasing from jail. But the difference that time was I really did not want to do it anymore. And I just saw the hopelessness of continuing, with what I was doing. And God scooped me up that day, just really intervened in a really, really powerful way. And my dad came and picked me up and took me to the airport and put me on an airplane. And I went to a sober living program in Sacramento.
Wow.
And that place just was amazing. It had, all these like 6 or 7 homes all on one street. And they had on-site 12-step meetings. And every time you stepped out your front door, there was somebody you could talk to. It was just that 24/7 support that really just made a huge difference for me. And it just gave me the time and space that I needed to get my feet back on the ground and understand what I needed to do for myself to pull together, after years and years and years of being in nothing but, using day in and day out. It takes time, to get your feet back on the ground. So that experience really was the inspiration for Truly Motivated. I had grown up here in Yelm from the time I was 15 and knew there was not anything like what I had experienced in California in this area at all. And very much God was giving inspiration as well, and just opened up doors in amazing ways. We just kept telling our story about what we wanted to do and what our vision was, and God just really lined it up beautifully to where we found our first home in 2005 and opened it in October.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's totally God to take some of the hardest things that we've been through and then be able to use that to help others.
Yeah.
There's a way of just being able to relate to somebody. Like you can relate to the people that you're able to help in such a real and loving way. And when we came and filmed for TMTL the first time, it was so cool to get plugged in and see exactly how, everyone's living in a community and how you come alongside them and support them. And I think a really cool aspect of your guys' organization is that it is Christ-centered, that you guys are actively plugging the organization into the church or the people that are attending into the church. And I don't know, can you share a little bit about that and your guys' approach to recovery?
Yeah. I think for most folks, when they come out of addiction and into sobriety and into recovery, there's just this huge gaping hole inside of folks. And, people are already typically attending 12-step meetings, which is pointing you towards a higher power, pointing you towards a God of your understanding. And so I think there's an openness and a willingness that people have because they've tried everything else and everything else has failed. And for us, we believe that a relationship with Jesus is what's going to change everything, right? He says, I'm going to come and take up residency inside of you, and I'm a part of your transformation. I'm a part of your healing. I'm going to change you from the inside out. And so we really allow people to experience that at their own gracious pace here. We're not shoving it and cramming it down people's throats. The Lord isn't that way with us, and so we're not going to be that way with the people that come here. We just ask that they would be open and willing to, a God of their understanding. And we do require church attendance, but we have this incredible partner church that their whole mission statement is to seek and help the hurting in the community. So it's very grace-based, very come as you are, very down to earth, very welcoming. And our participants just love it there. They can go to any church they want to, but the church is a 2-minute walk from each home. It's right in the middle of our homes. It's convenient, but also they're just really well loved there, and just have people that are excited to see them, and they're helping out on Sunday mornings. And we've got a soup kitchen at the church that happens on Saturdays. And so they have a place to go and serve and get to know folks. And so the church has been an incredible partner from us from the very beginning. They helped launch us. We were actually a ministry of Crossroads Covenant Church when we first started. And then 2 years later, we became our own, 501c3
cool.
nonprofit. So it's all God stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know all that was going to happen that way, but it just kind of kept progressing and happening so beautifully. It was just obvious that this was, so we call our little corner here. It's got all 3 of our homes, and then Crossroads is right in the middle of it. It's our little recovery corner.
That's awesome.
But anytime I will drive by here and I'm seeing folks that are walking from the house to the church, they're going to go, help out with something, or walking from one house to the next. And it's like, there's just this really sweet spirit of just connection and community that's happening here. And it's so easy for people to plug into,
Mm-hmm. There's something that I remember you said it. I think it's like the opposite of addiction isn't like not addiction. Or like isolation, or what was it?
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher whatever you had said before.
Well, it's not my saying, but it's a really good one. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really think that is something that's so like powerful about life in Christ too, is I think because everybody struggles with sin, and everybody's separated and missing the boat in some way. And I think it's cool to see at Truly Motivated how people are at the end of themselves and really looking for God. I think so many people don't have that advantage in life of really coming to the end of themselves and can just stay stuck in like whatever it is they're in, and we can be stuck in whatever socially acceptable sins there are. So I think it's really amazing to see people who are just fully open to change and recognize their need for God.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's no shortage of God's grace there,
Right.
He really, it's not ending. And then when you're talking about community, I think it's really easy to feel isolated as individuals, It's just people out there, like no one's going to understand you and what you've gone through. And I'm just curious how you're able to connect with some of the people that you interact with, because you share their story. Is there like how do you use that, and how do you use your faith to also minister to them?
I think for most of us, we can hear about God's grace, we can hear about His love, but when you experience it, and how does He choose to work? Through people, right? So we are just conduits for His love, for the people who are coming into our homes, 100%. It's just flowing through, right? And that's a tangible experience that people have. That's a real experience. And we know that addiction happens in the survival experiential part of the brain, right? And that part of the brain only learns and receives through experiences. It can't be healed with words. It can't be healed with information. There's a lot of different ways that, people try to get well from addiction, going to treatment, going to classes, going to groups, different things. But it's the experience of God's gracious love through His people that has the most profound experience, right? We experience Jesus in our hearts. He's not a word. He's not a theory. He's not a set of, rules and regulations. He is experiential. So we really, at Truly Motivated, every single thing from the moment somebody calls us and wants, to fill out an application, to the interview process, to the, logistics of how they're going to get here, whether they're coming from treatment or prison or from another state, from their entrance into the home, when we go through their paperwork when they first arrive, for everything that part of Truly Motivated is intentionally designed to be experiential. From how they live in the homes together, to how we interact with folks, to the things that we teach, the things that we do together, everything is experiential. And that is what people in recovering from substance use disorder, it needs, are new, healthy, honest, real experiences.
That's awesome.
That's what heals the heart.
Yeah, that's so good. It's because like you get to start living normal life while you're together with a good community, and having a good community is so important. And I think that's something that I know Megan and I, my wife and I, have experienced. It's really hard when you're in a phase of life where if things are difficult, if you don't have a good community around you. So like, what a blessing to be able to not only have the homes, but then the church community that you guys are a part of. When you founded TMTL, you came back here and saw a need for it in your community because it was something you experienced. And now that's what, 20 years ago. That's amazing.
It's crazy.
That's so cool. That's 20 years ago.
Don't blink.
Wow. Right? What is it like to see people that, with 20 years under your belt, you get to see, lives transformed? Do you have any recollection of like a story or a person or something where you're just like, or how does it feel to be able to see people just come out of addiction and into life?
Honestly, Luke, sometimes it's hard for me to put into words.
Yeah.
Because we know their stories, because that's part of their process is, doing a lot of unpacking with us as staff. We're trained in several different processes to help people heal and learn about relapse and all different things. We use the Genesis process here. I was just meeting with one of our gals today, and she has probably one of the hardest stories of anybody I've heard in the 20 years that we've been doing this. But she's getting through her hard stuff. She's getting through the dark stuff. And little by little, she's learning to trust us and learning to trust this place and learning to trust the process. And those are the things that, there's so many good things that are happening on any given day. We had another gentleman, when he came to us, he had been run over by a car and his legs barely worked. Like, he came here with a cane straight from treatment in Seattle. And I remember sitting in, we do SMART goals on Thursdays, and I could tell he was really quiet. And I said, he's worried. How am I going to support myself? I can't hardly walk. What am I going to do when I leave here to be able to, make a living and care for myself and all those things. And now he just got hired. He's climbing cell towers again. That's making great money, right? But he had to go through this year-long process of his inner healing, but also his physical healing. And he's just on fire for the Lord. He's never walked with Jesus before. He's met him since he's been here. He loves being at the church. Those kinds of stories, but sometimes it's in like the meeting I had today with that gal I was talking about, of just giving safe space for her to be able to unpack and look at me and say, I've never told anybody those things before. And they're all so ridden with shame, right? And so we just read John 1. The light came into the world and the darkness can't overcome it, right? That's who you're walking with now. So those things, it's those things that are happening here every single day, all the time. We've got our staff of 6. And so our staff coaches are having those intimate, vulnerable moments with people where I've never got to unpack this before. This is what keeps people under the influence. They don't have anywhere to put it, or any way to process it, or any way to get well from it. So there's so many stories, and there's so many things that are happening here on any given day. One of our other gals, her folks came to visit her, and she hasn't got to see them in a year and a half because they live in another state, and they've been worried about their little girl. She's been in stabilization centers and mental health hospitals and detoxes and crazy, horrible experiences. And so I get to see mom and dads come and visit their daughter and know she's well and she's healthy and she's with people that care about her. I don't know how do you put those things in words. It's an incredible honor and privilege for me. And sometimes even still, I just go, why me, Lord? That you chose me to be a part of this. And for me, I have always looked at Truly Motivated. Sure, we're a nonprofit. Sure, I'm the founder and director. But this is, to me, is just 100% been a movement of God. It's his hands reaching out, right?
Oh, definitely. And I think knowing you, it's like...
Sorry, I'm going to get a little...
No, it is so beautiful. And seeing lives restored, families restored, it's a beautiful thing. God is a God of restoration. And that you can see by the fruits. And you guys are producing some pretty good fruit, that's for sure. And so how did your relationship with God go? I'm curious through your life in addiction, because I think when we're trapped in our sins, it's really easy to feel separated from God or hopeless or whatever. Did you have a relationship with God while you're in your addiction or prior to addiction, or is this something like, I'm curious how your faith journey
Yeah.
went?
I grew up at a Christian camp, was surrounded by God's people all the time. It was happening all around me all the time. I remember having a really sweet relationship with the Lord when I was little. I guess I gave my life to him with my mom at 5. But I remember just really knowing that Jesus loves me, right? And then some really, really hard things happened to me that just, changed my trajectory, totally changed my trajectory. And took my first drink when I was 12. And, the myth that we all believe is that when we screw up, the Lord does this to us. And it's the furthest thing from the truth, right? He's like, he's right as close as our breath. But as soon as I started on that path, I just, plus when you're doing the wrong thing, you don't want to look at the Lord.
No.
You don't want to talk to him about it. So, no, I did not have a relationship with God throughout my years of addiction. And I think I really started spiraling when I was 16, and then I didn't come up for air again until I was 28.
Wow.
But I remember times when it just felt like his spirit was just really pressing on me. Would I be able to articulate that at the time? No. I can look back on it and go, oh, that was totally 100% his spirit pressing in on me. And it wasn't condemning, it wasn't convicting. It was just very much like I could just feel him pressing in on me. And it was very real. And I always knew that I wasn't going to do this forever. Like, this was not the way I was raised.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to come back. I didn't know how to come back. I didn't know how to start over or face the music or face my family or, any of those things. But when I first got clean down at the homes in Sacramento, there was a little church right down the street. And that was the first thing I wanted to do, was go to church. I didn't know this place at all. It was just close. So I walked there on foot. And it's funny, I remember calling my mom and going, there's no coffee or cookies at the break. Because we grew up in the Covenant Church. You have coffee and cookies at break. I just assumed all churches did that. It's just a funny memory. But anyways, I just wanted to be back. It felt like once I had stopped doing bad things, like I could turn to him again. And I've learned so much about that's not him, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't really do a full pivot back to him until I was about 3 years into my recovery. And I was at a women's retreat at Mission Springs. And Judy Howard Peterson was the speaker, and she was just amazing. And it was just one of those times that the Lord had set aside for me, just to really get through to my heart. At the end of the service, her messages were amazing, and the Lord was working on my heart the whole time. And they did a foot washing ceremony, and I just didn't want to do that. I just kind of stayed where I was in the sanctuary, and for the first time in my life, experienced God's Spirit. And it was so thick. It was so strong on me, and it was just absolute. I just didn't ever want to leave being in that space with him. I'd never experienced him like that before, and I was 30 years old.
Wow.
And I just closed my eyes and I just said, I'm all in. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I am fully all the way in surrendered to you. I am 100% yours. And that feels like that's really where, for me, my followership of Jesus really started from that point. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
And he took me up on what I said too, by the way. He was like,
here we
okay.
go. Let's go. All right. Sounds like she means it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what was that like then, stepping out in faith and doing something like this? Was that scary to start up, or like, I mean, God, how did you know God was calling you into it too?
It was just so obvious. Like, there was just nothing else that made sense. This is what we're supposed to do. It was like, like if as clear as if you were going on a road trip and this was the route to get to it. That's it. This is what's happening. And so I think there were times where it was a little bit intimidating, but mostly it was really, really exciting.
That's awesome.
Super, super exciting.
And can you point to any examples, maybe even early on or at any point where you've just been like, wow, that is totally like God's provision or God's hand on this organization, on what we're doing here?
Well, it turns out you need money
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
started with
Yeah.
something like this, and you need a house,
Yeah.
which
costs
we had,
money.
which we didn't have any of.
Yeah.
We didn't have any type of 501c3 status. We didn't have any way to take donation. We didn't have any of that. And Crossroads Community Covenant Church was just getting started here in Yelm, and felt very open to the idea of, yeah, we would love to have a recovery ministry connected to the church. And so we're able to pay a little bit of money to help us get started. And so there's that, right? How do those things happen?
Yeah.
We knew we needed a home, but we were probably going to have to end up renting because we couldn't buy a house. And my parents had owned a home up in Renton, and they were going to sell that and then turn around and take the money from that and buy a house out here as a rental, so they could reinvest the money. And they actually were just getting ready to make an offer on a house when our foundation house, our first home, for sale sign popped up. And a gal that worked out at Cascades Camp said, hey, there's a house for sale on Bald Hills. And so me and my dad and Pastor Russ Blake, who is the founding pastor at Crossroads Church, we all walked into that house. And I'm telling you, I had goosebumps up and down my arms. And it was everything, big kitchen, big, all the common spaces, big like you want for a recovery home. And I was like, this is it. This is the house. My parents made an offer on that house, bought it, and they were under contract within a matter of days.
Wow.
And we opened up the house in October. And another person from Crossroads Church said, hey, the North Pacific Conference is partnered with the Covenant Church nationally, and they're giving out seed grants. How about if I write a grant to see if we can get some grant money to get this house off the ground? So he came along and did that, and we got the grant money. So now we're able to do some renovations and buy some furniture, and it's opening a house. You have to have everything from the kitchen to the bedding to the beds to the dressers, the pillows, like the whole everything,
Yeah.
right? And so things like that, that it was like I've always said, God just kept opening doors and opening doors and opening doors. And a lot of it was all connections with different people in the Covenant denomination.
Wow.
Another guy that used to work out at Cascades was like, here, let me make you guys a logo. I didn't know we needed a logo. Just those little parts and pieces of when you're trying to get something started.
Yeah.
So
That's so
tons
cool.
of stories like that.
And the houses too, it's not just a place to live. They're really nicely put together and very homey. And there's something to be said about that too. It's a lot of dignity for somebody who's, going through addiction to be able to come into a place and not just like have a bed to sleep in. I think that's something really special about what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
You do an excellent job at showing God's love to people. And I think it's a very, very tangible way of doing that.
It's that experiential part.
Yeah.
Again, right? We've had people tell us, I've never lived anywhere this nice before. And they're not like over extravagant homes, but like you said, they're clean, they're comfortable, aesthetically, they're very pleasing, to the eye. And we have folks tell us all the time, this is the first place I've ever lived where I feel safe.
That is so huge.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Homes should be safe.
Yeah.
But most of the people coming through our homes, that's not been their experience. So it feels really good to have beautiful homes on beautiful properties that are well put together and feel good when you walk into them.
Yeah, that's really huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a bit of what you've been saying and talking and hearing a bit of your story, it sounded like it's a bit of a journey and like recovery itself. What would you, if you had a message to somebody who's, either contemplating recovery or in the midst of it or trying and hasn't yet found freedom, how would you approach, like if you could talk to yourself back when you were either in the midst of addiction or just starting to come through it, what advice would you give yourself?
I think that most of us, I say us, you're asking me what would I tell myself or what I share with somebody. It feels like you're trapped. It feels like there's no way out. And so I guess the encouragement I would give is that there is a way out. There is freedom. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people have experienced freedom. And it's for everybody. And there's always hope. And there is a way forward.
You know, that resonates so heavily, even with just like areas of sin in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really easy to fall into, you know, habitual sin or the same sorts
Mm-hmm.
of things. And it's like I keep struggling with it. I'm keeping like, okay, God,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna struggle with that again. You know, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna, you know, whatever it is. You just like there's something so powerful about saying there is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that is a very, very powerful thing that you guys are offering, but like it's through God.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, in my experience too, it's not about what we're saying no to, it's about what we're saying yes to. So if I'm saying yes to healthy things and yes to healthy people and yes to healthy relationships and yes to, ways and means that I can help edify myself and increase myself and heal, if I'm saying yes to those things, it's so much easier to say no to the things that aren't good for me, right?
When you're filling yourself up with what's
Mm-hmm.
good, then you know
Mm-hmm.
you're leaving like well, because saying yes to something is saying no to everything else,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
So when you're filling yourself up with
But it
good
sure
things and
feels a
good
lot
time.
easier to say yes to some good things than trying to say, no, 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 I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do it, right? Because then all you're
Yeah.
doing is focusing on the thing that you don't want to do. It's giving it more attention.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really that's a good life lesson right there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really incredible story. I'm trying to think. Do you have any thoughts behind the camera, Megan?
You both are doing great.
Okay, well, that's
And
good.
you're so articulate.
I know.
And you're asking good questions and you're answering them amazingly. And
We are rock stars.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like you guys nailed it.
Yeah, it just breaks me down to like whenever you're sharing, I'm just like I'm like borderline on the brink of tears. I'm like it's just
Oh.
it's so beautiful because that's what life is really about, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
helping people that are having a really hard go at it and like
Mm-hmm.
bring them to God. It's like the Psalm 51 has been like a big part of why we're doing what we're doing, and it's like it's talking about like create in me a clean heart, of God, and like renew your don't take your spirit from me, like renew. Oh my gosh, I don't have it on, on memory, but basically it follows
We
up.
know
Then,
the gist of it.
yeah, pretty much, yeah, and sustain me with a willing spirit. It's just been like renew and restoring and sustaining, and then it says so that I can teach transgressors your way and sinners will return to you. And I feel like that is like the heart of it right there, where it's just like we all need that so desperately, and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to see it play out so tangibly. You know, I need to like overlay the actual verse, Psalm 51, 10 through 12. But yeah, you know, it's I can't think of like a better expression of that than what you guys are doing. And you should be really, really proud of the way that you guys have done what you're doing. It is truly such a great organization.
Yeah.
And having
Thank you.
such amazing impact and being able to enter into it even for the brief time that we have, it's been hugely influential in our lives as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we think of the ripple effect,
Mm-hmm.
right? You throw a rock in the pond, it ripples. And we know that when people are in their addiction, there's a huge ripple effect on their families, on their community. There's tax burden, it's costly when someone they're in crisis. People are in crisis. And when people are in crisis, they have frequent hospitalizations. They have, frequent ER visits. They have, frequently are institutionalized. And so the burden and the ripple effect goes on and on and on. And it's the exact reverse when someone gets into recovery. It's a profound ripple effect, right? Their kids maybe never have to see their parents under the influence. Or if they have, mom and dad have a whole new, place where they're standing to be able to minister to their own kids. So it's generational. And in their communities, right? Our people are going out, they're ambassadors of hope. They're ambassadors of recovery. And we encourage them to do so. Your story is not all for nothing. God's going to use it. He always does. He says he's going to. I use all things for good, even the worst things. In fact, usually the worst things. You read through the whole Bible, every single person in those stories went through some crazy stuff. And it was really hard.
Yeah.
And so he seems to choose to work through adversity to make beautiful things. I mean, who else can do that, right?
Yeah.
And so the ripple effect, when we see of our folks going out and the ripple effect it's having in their homes and their children's family and their communities, And it turns out that when people are in recovery, it actually also saves money because they're not in crisis anymore. They don't need hospitalizations and ER visits and stabilization centers and incarceration. That's not happening anymore, right? And then they're also getting work and going to school and being a part of, paying into and being a part of the community. And I'll tell you one thing, most folks, when they come to us, they've got around 3 months of funding. There's a lot of funding now in our state. Thank God for people when they're coming into recovery homes.
Yeah.
And when they start working and then they go to pay rent on their first time on their own, they're so excited. So it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to earn your own money and pay your own way, right?
Yeah.
So our fee here is pretty nominal for what we provide. And we do that on purpose, but people feel really good.
That's so awesome.
They have a job and I get to pay my own way, and there's pride in that, right?
And I love the analogy that you're saying of like the ripples of dark and light. And it just feels like that's totally what it is. And that is, in my mind, exactly just like advancing the kingdom of heaven. It is these ripples of light. And with each one of those, you're getting another person involved in another person. And it's just like, it just spreads. And I feel like there really is like a revitalization happening and like a restoration of faith and of this spreading. And I think, what you're talking about is totally it. That is, it's lives transformed and coming back to God. And that's just, it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think that was about a good, I think you said about everything that I could even have hoped for you to say, and hit on every point. Unless you have more things to share, that was great. Thank you for meeting up, Carmin, and being willing to do this, and being willing to be the first one to hop on here and share your story and share the story of Truly Motivated. Yeah, and be our guinea pig. It really is so cool. It means so much to us.
Yeah.
So I just thank you, and I thank God for what you're doing. It is really powerful stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled for you guys. I love that you're just going, it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But when you're on the trajectory that God has you on, He provides in miraculous and amazing ways. And you guys I'm sure I've already experienced that lots of times, but He's just going to blow your mind with what He provides along the way if you guys start into this. So,
well, we're just leaving it all up to Him. It's all God's. Anything that comes out of it is because of Him.
Yeah, and we always need more good news. So I've always thought if there was just a channel that was news, that all they talked about was the good things that are happening in this world, and that's the broadcast. Like we listen, the regular news, which by the way I don't listen to anymore because it's just too much.
It's depressing.
It is. It's depressing, and they intentionally, I think, try to make people bummed out and fearful. But if there was a news broadcast that just was sharing about all the amazing things that are happening around the world through nonprofit work, ministries, churches, individual people, I think it would change the way people feel about the world they live in. I think it would change how people walk into a day and how they feel about the world around them if they're like, there's really good things happening all the time.
That's awesome. That's
and you guys are going to start documenting it.
That's what we're doing.
It's good, right?
That's awesome. Yeah. there is no shortage of good causes out there, no shortage of what God's doing, and people that are stepping into it.
Yep.
And that is such a good lead-in for what we do.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, thank you for being willing to put that story out here, because I think a lot of people have amazing stories, and it's so cool, that you're willing to share it. I know if someone approached me to share, I get nervous. I'm already nervous just being here. So this is good, but you made it so easy. I'm so thankful. Hot. Yeah, it's a little toasty, but it was good. Well, but thank you so much, Carmin.
Yep.
We are blessed.
All right.
Woo.